Good evening and welcome. For months, the digital battleground of TikTok has been a flashpoint in the escalating tech rivalry between the United States and China. The popular short video app, a global phenomenon with over 1 billion users, found itself caught in the crosshairs of geopolitical tension, facing an existential threat in its largest market. But today, a significant development has emerged, hinting at a fragile truce in this high-stakes conflict. On September 15, 2025, officials from both Washington and Beijing announced a framework agreement, a preliminary deal that could reshape TikTok's future and, by extension, the broader landscape of global technology and international relations. This isn't just about an app. It's about data, influence, national security, and the delicate dance of power between two global giants. Let's delve into the details of this pivotal agreement and what it truly means for the world. To understand the significance of this framework deal, we must first revisit the tumultuous journey that led us here. TikTok, owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, became a symbol of Washington's growing anxieties over data security and foreign influence. Concerns mounted that the Chinese government could access U.S. user data or leverage the app for propaganda. These fears culminated in a bipartisan bill, signed into law by then-President Joe Biden in April 2024, mandating that ByteDance divest its U.S. operations or face a complete ban. The deadline was set for January 19, 2025. However, the path to enforcement was anything but straightforward. President Donald Trump, who returned to office for his second term, found himself in a peculiar position. Despite initially advocating for a TikTok ban during his first term, his stance softened considerably. Why the change of heart? Perhaps it was the app's undeniable cultural impact, boasting 170 million U.S. users, many of whom are young voters. Or perhaps, as some analysts suggest, it was the realization that TikTok had played a surprising role in his 2024 election victory, becoming a powerful, albeit unconventional, tool for political communication. Regardless, the ban was repeatedly extended, creating a prolonged period of uncertainty and intense diplomatic maneuvering. Each extension, a temporary reprieve, served as a pressure point, pushing both sides back to the negotiating table. The latest deadline, September 17th, loomed large, making a resolution imperative. The stage was set for a showdown, or as it turned out, a framework for a deal. So, what exactly does this framework agreement entail? While the full commercial terms remain shrouded in the confidentiality of private negotiations, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, speaking after 2 days of trade talks in Madrid, confirmed the core objective, a transfer of TikTok to U.S.-controlled ownership. This is a critical point, as it directly addresses Washington's primary concern about ByteDance's Chinese roots and the potential for data access by Beijing. One of the most contentious issues has been TikTok's proprietary algorithm, the secret sauce that makes the app so addictive. Chinese officials, including Wang Jingtao, deputy director of China's Central Cyberspace Affairs Commission, indicated that there was consensus on authorizing the use of intellectual property rights, including this crucial algorithm. This suggests a complex arrangement where the technology might be licensed or transferred in a way that satisfies both sides. Furthermore, the agreement includes entrusting a partner with handling U.S. user data and content security, a direct response to the national security fears that fueled the ban threats. While the identity of the U.S.-backed buyer remains officially undisclosed, speculation is rife. Oracle executive chairman Larry Ellison, a known Trump supporter, is widely considered the frontrunner to lead an investment group. Ellison's company, Oracle, already has a relationship with TikTok, having hosted its U.S. data since 2020. This existing infrastructure could streamline the transition, making Oracle a logical choice. President Trump himself hinted at the deal's success on his Truth social platform, stating, "A deal was also reached on a certain company that young people in our country very much wanted to save. They will be very happy. I will be speaking to President Xi on Friday. The relationship remains a very strong one." This statement underscores the political dimension of the deal, acknowledging TikTok's significant user base and its role in public discourse. This TikTok framework deal is far more than just a corporate transaction. It's a strategic move on a much larger geopolitical chessboard. For months, the US and China have been locked in a fierce trade war, characterized by it for tariffs and restrictions on advanced technology. The TikTok negotiations were intertwined with these broader discussions, with US officials reportedly using the looming ban as leverage to push for concessions on trade and technology. From Beijing, Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, who led the Chinese delegation in Madrid, described the communications as candid, in-depth, and constructive. However, China's international trade representative, Li Qinggong, also voiced strong criticism of what he termed unilateral bullying and the politicization and weaponization of technology and economic issues by the US. He asserted that China would never seek any agreement at the expense of principle, the interests of the companies, and international fairness and justice. This highlights the deep-seated ideological differences that continue to shape the US-China relationship, even amidst moments of apparent cooperation. The deal's implications extend to global tech policy, setting a precedent for how governments might regulate for and own digital platforms. Washington's stance that digital platforms are strategic assets, not just private businesses, signals a new era where national security concerns will increasingly dictate the terms of engagement for global tech companies. This could lead to a more fragmented global internet, with countries imposing stricter controls on data flow and ownership. The framework agreement on TikTok is also a crucial step towards a potential summit between President Trump and President Xi Jinping. U.S. officials indicated that a meeting, possibly during Trump's planned Asia trip in late October or early November, would have been off the table without a TikTok deal. This underscores the app's significance as a bargaining chip in the broader diplomatic arena. However, it's important to temper expectations. While a framework is in place, the Chinese perspective often views the signing of a deal as the beginning, not the end, of negotiations. Experts warn that further haggling over important details could take years. Moreover, numerous other contentious issues remain unresolved. These include U.S. export controls on semiconductors and other advanced technology, Chinese investments in the U.S., and restrictions on chemicals used to make fentanyl. Adding another layer of complexity, the U.S. continues to pressure its allies to impose tariffs on China over its purchases of Russian oil. Beijing has vehemently rejected this demand, calling it a classic example of unilateral bullying and economic coercion. The timing of China's preliminary investigation into NVIDIA for anti-monopoly violations, announced on the same day as the TikTok deal, is also seen by many as a retaliatory shot against Washington's curbs on the Chinese chip sector. The TikTok truce, while a welcome development for the app's users and a rare moment of cooperation between the US and China, represents a precarious balance. It's a testament to the complex interplay of economic interests, national security imperatives, and political calculations that define the relationship between these two global powers. The coming days, particularly the scheduled call between President Trump and President Xi, will be critical in determining whether this framework agreement can evolve into a lasting resolution. The world watches as the future of global technology and international relations hangs in the balance, shaped by the fate of a short video app. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.